Now begins the recitation of the revelation word of the Divine Avataric Master, Paramasaptana Adidar Samraj. This is real Acausal God, is the inherent unity of being, from the Dawn Horse Testament. Even though real Acausal God, as real Acausal God, merely is, always already, or inherently and eternally prior to cause and effect, the God-seeking ego I, or every human being whose heart is self-contracted, and who, as a result, wants toward ultimate experience, knowledge, or belief, characteristically tries to argue for experience of, or knowledge of, or belief in God, or the ultimate proposed to be experienced, known, or believed in by appealing to the logic of cause and effect. Therefore, in their ultimate arguments for the ultimate, and in their necessarily conditional experiences, knowings, and believings attained in the course of their seeking for the ultimate, the God-seeking human egos propose that God is the cause and the doer of everything. But even though they necessarily conditionally experience, or know, or believe, these necessarily conditionally experiencing, or knowing, or believing egos do not stand free. They only cling to the necessarily imperfect conditional self and the necessarily imperfect worlds of the conditional self. Therefore, they do not realize real Acausal God, or the perfect itself, by heart, through ego-transcending divine communion, to the inherently most perfect degree of inherently perfect love bliss beyond all difference. Real Acausal God is the one and only and self-existing and self-radiant conscious light that is reality itself. Real Acausal God is the God, or the truth, the reality, and the self-identity of consciousness itself. Real Acausal God is the God, or the truth, the reality, and the self-identity of inherently perfect subjectivity. Real Acausal God is not the God or the implicated maker of conditional nature, separate self, and all objectivity. Real Acausal God is the God, or the truth and the reality of consciousness, freedom, love bliss, being, and oneness. Real Acausal God is not the God, the cause, the doer, or even the victim of unconsciousness, or mere causes and effects. Therefore, real Acausal God is not the God of bondage, unhappiness, death, or separation and difference. Real Acausal God is the subject, not the object. Real Acausal God is the inherent unity of being. Real Acausal God is the integrity, not the course, of the world. Real Acausal God is the true source, the very context, the real substance, the truth condition, the very reality, the most prior condition, and the eternal bright spherical self-domain of all conditions, all causes, and all effects. For all that appears comes from real Acausal God, but in real Acausal God, and only as real Acausal God. All things are the media of all things, but real Acausal God is not the maker. For real Acausal God is like a hidden spring within the water's world, and real Acausal God is prior even to course and every course, and real Acausal God is the self-domain of even every effect, and real Acausal God is the being itself of all that appears. Therefore, real Acausal God merely is, and is what grants every appearance, every being, everything, every condition, and every conditional process, the divine sign of mystery, love, bliss, and joy. Yes, real Acausal God is the deep of the world and the heart of every would-be I. This is, real Acausal God is the inherent unity of being. From the Dornhorst Testament. Here ends the recitation of the revelation word of the Divine Avataric Master, Paramasaptana Adida Samraj.